What's up, guys? Phoenix here. So, in the spirit of producing content on a continual basis for this channel, I'm going to be trying to hold myself to a schedule of filming, editing, producing, and uploading at least one video a day for this channel for the foreseeable future. Now, I know I've said this before in the past, but I'm really committed to doing it this time and not breaking the chain, as they would say, because I feel like if I can stick with this for long enough, then my time frame schedule will start fine-tuning itself down to where this becomes more efficient for me to do, becomes easier for me to do. My networking with other people, my finding of ideas of things to film, all of these things will improve, and hopefully it'll just stick out until the end of my days on YouTube will be like when I finally stop producing videos, hopefully, if this sticks. So, anyway, as much as I would like to continue talking about, any form of innovation with rogue strategies, or talking about Dragunities until my heart's content, I'm going to be flipping the script a little bit in this video, and I'm going to be giving you guys an updated Nekroz deck profile for the July 2015 Konami ban list, not the ARG list. Now, I have done quite a bit of testing under the ARG list as well, but this is the Konami list, and I've got to I'm testing under that list, because even though I already have an invite for next year's Nats, I do have a regional on August 30th in the Georgia area, which I will be attending, and I mean, I'm not just going to enter and not expect to do well. Like, that's just the thing. I don't know if I'll be playing this deck. I actually really don't want to play this deck, if at all possible. I want to play something else that I've personally just been working on the side, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, a lot of people know that I really enjoy playing this deck. I love this deck. I like the ritual mechanic as a whole. Like, the ritual mechanic is probably my favorite summoning mechanic in terms of, like, my history in the game and things like that. And, like, this deck didn't really get touched that much off the Konami list. Like, Shrit to 1 does hurt, but it just makes the deck a lot more skill-intensive. And the fact that Jin and Lavalval Chain are gone, well, Jin more than Lavalval Chain. Lavalval Chain really just kind of helped you get out of the early game. But Jin being gone, as a whole, just makes this deck a lot more loose in terms of card choices. The paradox in deck building is gone. And, like, you're not just going to get bullshitted out of mirror matches anymore. So I like this deck a lot more now than I did last format. But anyway, I'm going to just jump into the deck list and give card choices as I go. One Decisive Armor in the main. I want to side this card, but I feel like it's necessary to main it right now just because Towers Turbo is really popular, especially kind of around my area. There's a lot of people that play Cliff Forts at the locals that I go to. And, like, Towers is a problem, and this is, like, the only, like, reasonable main deck out to it. And also, it's just really good against Rogue. If I wasn't maining it, it would be in the side deck, because that's where it always was for me in the past. And it would come in against Dolls and any, like, trap-heavy decks, like, that are slower paced. Any slower paced than, like, Tellers, like Yosenju, anything like that, because this just eats them apart. One Trishula, because it's still legal in the Konami list, and there's no reason not to play one. I don't think 2 is correct. I'm playing 2 Valkyris, because even though you need to access this card at every point during the mirror match, it's a brick, and you want to minimize your brick cards, especially with Shrit being at 1. And also, like, I've been playing 2 for the longest time, ever since, like, I can't even remember, like, since April, I've only been playing 2 Valk, because, like, it's so easily accessible. The only way I would ever play, like, 3 of this card is if other parts of the deck got hit that result in you accessing this. I mean, like, Unicore. Like, if Unicore got hit, I'd probably bump this to 3 just so I could put less strain on Unicore and the other aspects of the deck to have it. But while all the cards that we have are still, at the place that they are on the ban list, like, 2 of this card seems fine to me, because I've never had a problem with accessing it during any stage of the game. And then 1 Gungnir for the last kind of bricky monster that doesn't really do anything for you. It's just really good against Rogue, and, it's really good against Rogue and Klee, and it opens game shots in the mirror, so that's why I'm still playing it. Some people have cut it, but it's amazing. 2 copies of Brionac, because it's Sue, obviously, and then 3 copies of Unicore. I personally don't know why this card wasn't touched. If Konami reads the cards that they produce, they would know that just because Shrit's at 1 doesn't mean that you can't use Shrit more than once, because this starts adding Shrit back. The only thing it really changed was that instead of starting to add, like, ritual spells back, with Unicore, you basically have to always get, like, either Shrit or Valk back now. And, like, that does make a difference, but you're always going to be putting these back into your deck off the Daigusto Emeralds, which I feel like is mandatory that you have to play 2 of now in your extra deck. But hey, you have 3 slots because Lavalval Chain's gone. So honestly, and like this card also being at 3 opens up really consistent loops with Dance Princess to start adding back your banished monsters. So if Shred's banished, then you can start adding it back that way too, because this card just like this card with Dance Princess loops all your banished cards, you know, gives you access to all your banished monsters back in your hand and things of that nature. And the last 2 ritual monsters are 2 Colossalus. I don't feel like 3 is necessary, because like the ritual spells search themselves. Rhoda is still at 3 in this build, even though I've only shown you 2 Colossalus, and obviously Shred's at 1 says 3 targets, but I'm playing 2 other cards that that supplement the Rhoda searches and actually give the deck just a bit of a stronger backbone against, you know, different decks. But for non-ritual monsters, I'm playing triple Manju and triple Senju because, like, why would you play less than 6 Stratos? In the Mathman build, I know they cut Senju to like 2 or 1, and that might, you know, I mean, that seems correct for that build just because it's a lot of normal summons. But for the other monsters, my 2 other Rhoda targets I added in are 2 copies of Heroic Champion Assault Halberd. I put 2 in because I didn't feel comfortable doing 4 Rhoda targets with 3 Rhoda, especially with how accessible Colossalus and Shrit are through all the rest of your cards. And also because, like, I didn't want to put just one of these in, because in certain game states you do summon this and you do hit with it, and if you do hit with it, you can just, you know, get the free +1 for the other copy, and that's actually just real. And like this card, it's very hard to like brick with this card, which is why I felt like it was the best warrior to run to like support the 3 Rhodas, because like this plus Manju lets you make a rank 4 going second against any deck other than the mirror. But also, like, if you have 2 of these in your hand, like Rhoda and one of these is a rank 4 if you have to clear something, things like that. Like, I'm a really big fan of this card. The more and more I've been testing it, and like I was testing Aqua Spirits before, but like it wasn't a Rhoda target. Like under the ARG format, I was testing Aqua Spirits because I didn't have to deal with Rhoda ratios. But under the Rhoda ratio thing, like this is just a really nice card, and I really like it. For the last monsters, 1 Dance Princess and 1 Shrit. I'm not playing Great Sorcerer or Exa because those cards just seem really bricky. I might end up upping Dance Princess to 2 or so, but as of right now, it hasn't been a problem. And then the last 2 monsters are 2 Max C, which is only really bad against Klee and Yosenju, but I don't really expect to play Yosenju that much. And like Klee, of course, Klee you already have a disadvantage in against game 1 anyway, unless like you just open Amazing, so I'll forego that matchup. For the spells, we'll play 2 of each mirror. I don't feel like upping any of them to 3 is ideal at this point. Some people have been playing around with ratios of like 3 Kaleidoscope, putting Kaleidoscope to 3 and cutting this to 1. I don't think that's correct either, just because like you'll lose access to this if you ever have to banish this. And like Shrit is still easily recyclable. That was their reasoning. It was like, because Shrit's at 1, why are you using Cycle at more than 1? But like that's actually just not a valid argument in my eyes. The 1 of Prep. And then 3 copies of Rhoda, because this searches Shrit, searches Colossalus, and it searches Assault Halberd. So it's a card that gives you a rank 4 piece, a ritual spell, or a, you know, your full requirement for the ritual spell plus a Brio at the end of it. So ultimately, Rhoda at 3 is probably, you know, my favorite. It's probably my favorite card in the deck, honestly. I think it might be unhealthy for Rhoda to stay at 3 for any longer. I'm not sure. I'm playing 2 Lance in the main because since we don't have to run Gen Outs anymore, you have a lot of room in your main board to play like cards that out rogue and just like really techie cards like the Assault Halberds. So like I'm not maining MST, obviously they're in the side, but I don't have a concrete side to show you guys, so there's not going to be one with this video. But Lance is just it's been really amazing for me because like this does almost the exact same that Book of Eclipse did when you were playing against Rogue, or like Klee or anything that tried to floodgate you out. And this allows you to play through any floodgate that's not Mistake or Vanity. It lets you play through all your traps, all of their traps as well. Like you can Trish back with a Lance, and like they have to Veiler you, or they have to use 2 traps on you. Actually, no, they don't have to use 2 traps on you because Lance will make it unaffected by the time its effect tries to resolve. So it allows Trish and like Decisive Armor to resolve through traps. And also, you know, just getting over things is sometimes relevant. Very, very few and far between when it's relevant, but sometimes it is. And then for 1-ofs, the last 1-ofs are Book of Moon and Raigeki. They're just 2 very powerful cards. Like Book of Moon is really versatile, especially in like the mirror to like get damage to under Valk. And then Raigeki is just a nice board clear, which is, you know, good against almost everything in the metagame. As soon as your opponent tries to establish a board, if you're playing the mirror, it's usually because they have like a Vanity set or something. and as long as their card doesn't have any sort of inherent protection, then you can Raigeki them after they play the Vanity. Things of that form and or function. But the last two cards in the deck are 2 1-of traps. I can't really find anything else that I want to play in this deck because you do just have a lot of room now. So I'm playing the 1 of Emptiness in the main. I pretty much just have this. If it wasn't in the main, it would be in the side deck, and it would only just be in the side deck to ask everyone that I play to side it out. Just because I hate this card. But Jar of Avarice, since the Unicorns are a bit more stressed on adding back Shrit and doing your Dance Princess loops as well, Jar of Avarice putting back ritual spells just seems like the right move going into this format from the beginning. I've always been a big fan of Jar of Avarice in this deck. The regional that I won, I was playing these 2 cards as my traps, and I was playing these 2 cards as my traps at the 150th YCS in Columbus in my main deck, before I ended up just cutting them and going trapless and having just this in the side. I'm still a very big fan of this card in general, just because shuffling back powerful spells like your Rotos, your Prep, your Raigeki, things like that. It seems like a very good approach to take with this deck going into this new format. But anyway, the extra deck, my 12, which is Barbroid, the Ultimate Battle Machine, as always, Star Eater, and 2 Herald of the Arclight are my Kaleidoscope targets. We lost Chain, so you just kind of have a bit more room in here now. I'm playing Diamond, Tellarknight Ptolemaeus. I kind of want to fit in an Artifact Durandal in here, just because it's kind of like a Solemn Judgment when you can stick it. And for the rest of my Exceeds that are just generic rank 4s, Castel, Diamond Dire. I kind of want to bump Castel to 2 as well. Exciton Knight, 2 copies of Daigusto Emerald. I've already touched on this. I believe playing 2 of this is mandatory now, just because you always have to keep Unicorn in your deck. Or shuffle back Shrit if you already have a Rota in your hand, because then you can just Rota it straight back. Things like that. 2 copies of Abyss Dweller as well. Now, BA is really hard to combat with this deck, especially if your Abyss Dweller is gone. It's really hard to keep your foot down against BA and keep them from coming back, especially since Traveler is in a lot of builds now. They'll just get their cards back, so you kind of have to just make Abyss Dweller as much as possible. And then sometimes it's just really hard to make Diamond. Sometimes you have to have a battle phase before you make Diamond, and you have to do something in that battle phase to keep yourself in the game. So Abyss Dweller at 2 just kind of solves that problem. And then the last 2 cards in the extra deck are Galga Cowboy and number 80 Rhapsody in Berserk. This you pretty much only make against the mirror. Otherwise, I kind of want to cut this card for something else, but probably the Durandal. But because you only make it in the mirror, but every time it comes up, it's always usually very, very relevant. So that's ultimately it. And that is ultimately it for this deck profile as well. I've tried to keep it a bit shorter, and I consider 13 minutes a bit short. If you guys are, a fan of me doing more competitive-oriented, deck profiles and discussion videos and the like, please like this video, drop a comment down below. I'm going to have a link to my Facebook and my personal Facebook and my Facebook fan page, both in the description. Go to both of them, like the fan page, and send me a friend request. I'm more than willing to talk to anybody, and I give you a chance to make me, I'm going to friend you regardless, but if you do something extreme that is going to make me not want to keep you as a friend on Facebook, then I'll really, it's not going to be I screen you first. It's going to be open doors, you come in, and then I decide if you stay or not. Ultimately is going to be the thing. But anyway, that's all for today's video. I'm going to be doing a couple of more videos on the competitive side, semi-competitive and semi-innovative. I've got a couple other deck profiles that I want to do. Those will be going up in the next couple of days. I might restart doing Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Marathons, but under a different format, but I'll explain that in a different video. I still need to do kind of an update video, but anyway, as I said, links in the description to my Facebooks. Go to both of them, do the appropriate thing with both of them. Comment, rate, subscribe. If you like this video, then I'd appreciate it if you would click an ad if you haven't. I'd greatly appreciate it, but it helps me make money. But if you don't want to, I'm completely fine with that. It's ultimately what you guys want to do, and I won't take it personally, but it would just help me out. But anyway, that's all for today's video, and as always, guys, take care.